Thank you for joining me today. I am Kella Price from Healthy Fit. I'm really glad that you are here today to learn more about healthier choices one meal at a time, because as you know, we can't just exercise and expect results. Nutrition is a huge component to a healthier lifestyle. You can't out-exercise bad nutrition. So I'm going to give you some practical tips and tools, even if you're not exercising today, that you can integrate into your daily meal planning to have better success. Again, if you have any questions during the presentation, you can put those in the chat. I'll be trying to monitor that throughout. We'll also have questions at the end. So our first element of participation, what are some of the challenges that you face when making healthier eating choices? Please share those in the chat so we make sure we talk about those during the presentation and problem solve. What are some of the challenges that you're facing? Lots of people, time is a factor for sure. We are going to try to make it easy for you to prepare your meals. It doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be time consuming. A lot of the challenges I hear from my clients are, number one, busy schedules. They don't have time. They feel like they don't have time to meal prep or prepare a nutritious meal. Picky eaters. Who has picky eaters at home? If you have kids or maybe a picky spouse, that really impacts your eating choices. So we're going to talk about how to combat that. Lack of whole foods, emotional or mindless eating, and I saw somebody say that. Depression or mental health, feeling anxiety, depression, stress can all impact your motivation to cook, certainly. So let's get started on some of our problem solving. Let's talk first about busy schedules. When you have a busy schedule, the important thing is to make your life easy. Have simple eating suggestions. I provide meal plan assistance, and planning out your meal is a huge element to success when you have a busy schedule. Planning out your week so you're not flying by the seat of your pants is really important, because when you don't have a plan, you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? That's when you're tempted to get the most quick thing, which is usually a drive-through or a to-go item. And we want to try to limit those in our diet. Healthy snacks. Having healthy snacks on the ready is really important for busy schedules, because when you're busy and you are going from one thing to the next, sometimes it can be challenging to make sure that you're eating regularly and that you're getting optimal nutrition. And if you get hungry, again, this is when you're tempted to stop at the gas station or the closest drive-through for that snack, that pick-me-up. This will also prevent you from, if you're eating regularly, needing or relying on coffee and energy drinks for that energy, because you're fueling your body throughout the entire day. We're also going to talk about a little bit about how to meal prep. I am a busy mom with 4 boys, 3 still live at home, and I only cook about once or twice a week at the most. And one of those days is my meal prep day. So I'm going to cook and spend an hour or so in the kitchen, maybe an hour and a half, to plan out meals and prepare some of those items. So during the week when we have a busier schedule and people are doing schoolwork and activities and we have a long day, I don't have to worry about all the pressure of preparing that meal from start to finish. So I prepare a lot of those things in advance. I'm sure you've probably heard you are what you eat, right? And it's so true because our body uses the energy and the nutrition from the food and the things we put in our mouth to create our cells. And so if you are not eating good, nutritious food, then you are going to have your body create cells out of the non-nutritious food. So garbage in, garbage out, or quality products in, quality cells, and quality production in your body. So we want to reduce eating out in those convenience foods. Those really can add up in your monthly food budget in terms of cost. They are actually going to end up costing you more in the long run. And a lot of them have fillers and things that we don't want in our body. We want to plan for the unexpected. I have emergency snacks. I talked a little bit about snacking in your busy schedule. I have emergency snacks in my car at any given time because appointments always run over. Errands take longer than you expect, and then you end up hungry. And then you either get hangry or, again, you are tempted to stop at the closest place and get a pick-me-up, whether that's a sugar-filled coffee from Starbucks or an energy drink and a candy bar from the gas station, and we want to stay away from that. So some of the things I carry are a shaker cup and my favorite protein shake that I can stop at that gas station and get water and ice and shake up my shake in the car. I usually have some dried mangoes, dried fruit, or a trail mix because that's non-perishable, beef jerky. There are tuna kits that you can buy with crackers. That's a good protein source as a go-to snack. And these are things that are not going to have to be refrigerated, so you can keep them in your car and kind of forget about them. Dried almonds are another great source, or Barucha nuts of healthy fats in your diet, and you can keep those in the car and they're not going to go bad from the heat. Set the example. Set the example with your kids and your pair up with your spouse as a family to have better eating. I see a message about distorted audio. If anyone else is having issues with the audio, all right. We had a question about incorporating meal replacement shakes into your diet. Not all meal replacement or protein shakes are created equal. And so I'd really encourage you to be an educated consumer. Look at the label of what you're buying. If it's a extremely low price, it probably doesn't have a lot of nutrition in it, and it has a lot of fillers. Most of the inexpensive proteins that you might find at like Walmart, for example, if you read the label, it's going to have a small amount of protein, and then it's going to have a bunch of fillers and things that you don't really know what they are. So they're primarily going to give you protein and nothing else. Again, I use Shakeology. It has 70 superfoods. I can read everything on the label. Now, there are a few other brands that I've come across, but not many that don't have fillers. So be an educated consumer and really know what you're buying. What other vitamins are in there? Are there fillers? Are there artificial sweeteners? It may say it's low in sugar, but they're using artificial sweetener, and we don't want that in our body. We can certainly use those meal replacement shakes or those protein shakes in a couple different ways, depending on your goals and your lifestyle. I already mentioned to you, I keep protein shake powder in my car as an emergency snack, and I do have a protein shake every day at home. Typically, I have it as a post-workout mid-morning snack, but if you're someone who skips breakfast or skips a meal, because of your busy schedule, that is the meal that you want to utilize the protein shake for, because you shouldn't be skipping meals. That's not good for your metabolism. It's not good for your blood sugar or your energy levels. So a protein shake can be really easy to replace that skipped meal. If you get hungry in between meals or you're trying to gain weight, you could use it as a snack. And sometimes I have clients with particular diseases or disorders that cannot gain weight. And so we'll really bulk up the shake with added nutrition, added vegetables, even added peanut butter or oats, something to increase the amount of calories consumed in the shake. Most shakes that you're gonna find, even when you add in your fruit or your extra things that you put in, are gonna be less than 200 calories. But if you are trying to really build muscle, you're doing bodybuilding, or again, you're having a hard time gaining weight, we can add all kinds of things in there to make it up to 500 or 600 calories in that shake if necessary. Someone asked about whey protein. Yes, whey protein, as long as you are not allergic to the dairy. I usually use a vegan protein, which is a combination of pea protein. There's hemp proteins out there. They're plant-based proteins. They tend to be easier to digest than the whey protein. And I hadn't been averse to using whey protein personally, but recently I did some food sensitivity testing and found out that I was allergic to the whey. So I'm glad I haven't been using whey protein, and I've cut out dairy entirely from my diet. So hopefully that answers that question. Great questions, guys. We're gonna keep moving. You are what you eat. You get energy from the food you consume. So we really want to consistently eat high quality items so that you are fueling your body appropriately and having that good energy level throughout the entire day. You'll maintain a healthy weight and reduce risks of heart disease, diabetes, or other illnesses. All right, so we want to make it easy to eat healthy, because if we make it easy for you to eat healthy, you are going to be able to do it consistently. And that's really the goal, because consistency over time is going to give you good results. Ideally, we want to eat 1 to 2 servings of fruit each day. A serving is considered 1 cup of fruit, and fresh fruit is best because you're getting all of the fiber. Eat the skin off the fruit for things like apples. That's important fiber. When we eat, let's say, an orange, for example, and you eat the segments, the outside skin on those segments is good fiber for your body, and we lose some of that if we're not eating the entire fresh fruit. Eat 1 to 2 servings of healthy fats each day. And you might be saying, wait a second, I thought fat was bad for you. You know, all the marketing in the grocery store says no fat, low fat. We don't want certain types of processed fats like canola oils or soybean oils necessarily in our food, but healthy fats are important for your body's health. And some of the things that I'm talking about that fall into that category are your avocados, your low-fat cheeses like mozzarella and feta, your nut butters, olives, and a lot of your seeds, pumpkin seeds or pepita, sunflower seeds, all good fats for you, and your body needs that. So if we're looking at the plate itself, your plate should be half vegetables is the goal for every meal. 25% protein and 25% carbohydrates. For most of my clients, I usually recommend not eating carbs at dinner and shifting that earlier in the day, or omitting carbs at dinner. However, there are instances that we're finding that carbs at dinner a small amount can be beneficial. For example, women who are perimenopause or menopausal, that little bit, half of a sweet potato or a scoop of quinoa can help your blood sugar maintain through the night, so you don't wake up in the middle of the night when your blood sugar drops with heat sweats. All right. We had another question. Someone was asking about leaky gut and a diet supplement. Leaky gut is a really hot topic, and I am really well versed on this because I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's autoimmune disease earlier this year, and one of the components of that is leaky gut. And really, one of the only ways to heal the leaky gut is to do a elimination diet and take things out, get rid of the inflammation in your body and allow it to repair, and then start to slowly add things back in. But that's a whole nother seminar. So we don't really have a lot of time to go into that. If you are someone who is suffering from leaky gut and inflammation in the gut area, and you have an autoimmune disease, feel free to reach out to me. I am available for consultations during your fair all this week. I can set up a one-on-one consultation. So we want to create a healthier plate. And I encourage you, if you are a picky eater, to try new things. Our taste buds change, and depending on how something is prepared, you may like it one way and not another way. I will eat steamed cauliflower. It's not my favorite. I don't think it has a lot of flavor as a steamed vegetable. However, I love cauliflower rice. It's one of my go-tos because I am not eating rice right now. And so I put cauliflower rice in a lot of things, even in my breakfast bowls, and it's really tasty. So the preparation is a big deal. Try new things, try new recipes. Don't be afraid to branch out. Make sure you're reading labels. When I go to the store and I'm buying things, especially if it's a store that I'm not familiar with and they have different items, I take a lot of time to read the labels. And when I look at the labels, I'm looking for all ingredients that I recognize and can pronounce. When there's all kinds of chemical jibber jabber on the label that I have no idea what it is, I'm going to put that back on the shelf and select something else. Even things that you might think are health items, or maybe they're in a healthier section, may have things in them that you don't want. For example, granola bars. A lot of people think, oh, granola bars, that's healthier than giving my kids a candy bar. Yes. However, a lot of the lower end granola bars now, if you read, some of them have gone to things that have GMOs, they're genetically modified, and so I've stopped buying those. Some of the items will have artificial sweeteners. So read the labels. Ideally, if it has like 6 ingredients or less, even if it's in a bag, it's better than other things that you're going to find on the shelf. And you can even find, in terms of, I'm thinking snack items right now, there are chips and things that have like 6 ingredients. When my kids have a hankering for a chip, we buy chips that are made of peas and lentils and black beans. and things. And when you read the ingredients, it only has a few things on that label. And that's how you're going to help make those healthier choices. Minimally processed food. So ideally, things that are not in the packaged items. They're around the outside of the grocery aisle, the fresh items. We can reduce our grocery bill by looking for items in those areas that are on sale. So they'll rotate through some of the sale items, and if something is in season, it's going to be cheaper and it's going to taste better because they're not using different farming methods to try to produce something in the off season. Sure, you can get berries year round, but the strawberries you get in June are going to typically be better because that is strawberry season, and those strawberries will taste better. Also, getting things from a local farmer's market, you can get things that are more close to their ideal ripeness, so they'll have a lot better flavor for you. And a lot of times you can get a great bargain there. Increase your vegetable intake. This is the best thing that I can recommend to anyone. Eat more vegetables. Find vegetables you like and eat more of them. Try to increase over time the amount of vegetables that you're eating. Add veggies into your morning omelet if you're eating eggs, or if you're having an egg sandwich in the morning. Add tomato and lettuce to that. I even put leftover veggies from the night before's dinner a lot of times in my protein shake for that added nutrition boost. So we do need carbs, and some of you are probably thinking, I thought carbs were bad. Not all carbs were created equal. The ones that come in a cake, a pastry, a donut, a chip, most of our breads and pastas are the ones that we kind of want to limit. We want to focus on minimally processed fiber-filled carbohydrates. Even some of our fruits will have a small percentage of carbohydrates, but we want to think of things like quinoa and our ancient grains, brown rice. If you really want to have a pasta, I recommended to someone earlier today to consider buying a pasta that is not a typical flour-based, wheat flour-based pasta. Look for things like the chickpea pasta and the lentil pasta. Try different ones, and they are getting much better than they used to be on some of those alternative pasta options. I had some chickpea pasta yesterday, and I couldn't really tell the difference in the texture or flavor of the noodle. So you want to say yes to whole grains, your root vegetables like your sweet potatoes. Beans are a great carbohydrate. Say no to the white bread, the pasta, chips, pastry, highly processed foods. Can fruits replace vegetables? Well, some of the things that we want out of our vegetables, the fruits will not lend themselves to that. Additionally, fruits, even though they are like nature's sweet dessert, they do have natural sugar in them. And so if you're eating too much fruit, your body has to process that sugar, so that could be negative. Generally speaking, a lot of our vegetables are lower in sugar content and higher in fiber. So we would want to stick primarily with the vegetables. We see in a lot of Caribbean countries, individuals who have a diet high in fresh fruits that are diabetic. They're not overweight, but they're diabetic because of the amount of sugar that they consume through the natural fruits. So 1 to 2 servings would be optimal on the fruits. We have some nighttime eaters. So again, this is where I said for some women, I'm perimenopausal, and I've been experimenting with eating a small amount of carbohydrate at dinner to help maintain good blood sugar throughout the night. Remember, our hormones as we age are going to get a little bit wonky, and it impacts how we feel in the nighttime. And sometimes we'll wake up in the middle of the night because our blood sugar has crashed, and it interrupts our sleep, and then that impacts our body's cycle for the whole next day. So eating a small amount of carbohydrates in the evening. Avocado promotes sleep, and that healthy fat can also be beneficial as an evening snack. I actually have recently also been incorporating a small, like 10 Barucha nuts as my last snack of the night. That little bit of fat and calories will help me get through the night. For my younger kids, I have growing boys. They typically want a bedtime snack, and my go-to for them is always a protein shake because it's a good amount of calories, a good amount of nutrition. It's easily digestible, and so it's not going to be taxing on the body before bed. We have another great question. Do cooked vegetables have as much nutrition as raw vegetables? Generally speaking, as we cook something, some of the nutritional content is going to get lost. That said, through the steaming process or the cooking process. That said, you can still cook vegetables, like putting them in soups and things like that is not going to negatively impact. It's going to be a minimal amount, and it really depends on the overall preparation. Raw is generally best, and then steaming next. But really and truly, the short answer is that from the moment that something is picked out of the ground, the nutritional value is going to depend on a lot of things. And in our American food supply sources, the amount of nutrition in our food overall has gone down over the last 50 years because of the way that we're producing food more quickly and the scientific engineering of food to get more out of the crops, and over sourcing of different areas. So the nutritional content has gone down, but if you pick something as close to its optimal ripeness, that's when you're going to get the best flavor and the best nutrition out of that item. The longer it's not eaten, that quality of the nutrition degrades. The quality of the item will lose some of its nutritional value over time. So if you have a home garden and you're picking something and you're eating it for dinner, that's the best case scenario. But a lot of us can't do that. So eating fresh is best. Eating as close to the source is best. That's another reason we want to use our local farmers markets. If something is frozen, freezing it reduces a little bit of the nutritional value as well. A lot of the science behind freezing vegetables, if you buy things from the frozen foods, they try to flash freeze it to minimize the damage to the nutritional content. But over time, again, the longer you have something, generally speaking, it's lost a little bit of its nutrition. There's another question about late eating. Is it bad for you? Generally speaking, there's a couple reasons we don't want to eat too close to bedtime. My rule of thumb is 3 hours before bed, that we want to make sure we have eaten our dinner. So if you go to bed at 9 o'clock, you want to try to eat by 6. And there's a couple reasons for that. The first one is we want our body to digest our food before you go into sleep. If you eat too close to bedtime, it can impact your sleep cycle and all of the other things your body's trying to do to prepare for your next day. all the things it's trying to do to repair your muscles, how it's mentally trying to prepare. And all of those things can't happen if the energy focus is down in the gut area digesting food. The second reason that we want to try to ensure that we're eating early enough, or specifically I'm talking about our dinner, is that if you haven't used up calories by the end of the day and you go to sleep, it's going to be going into your storage. So the worst thing we can do is eat something and then go straight to eat a giant meal and then go to bed. Because that's all going to go into our storage, which ends up in weight gain. And this is typically why we try to encourage people not to eat so many carbs at dinner, because unless you're working out in the evening, you're probably not going to burn off all that carbohydrate. You don't necessarily need that type of fuel at the end of the day. Keto. Keto. We all go into a form of ketosis when we go to sleep. Everyone technically intermittent fast, because from your last meal of the day, that entire night while your body's repairing until you break fast with breakfast, your body is in a depletion, in an intermittent fasting process. Your body needs some carbohydrates. Just like this slide says, not all carbohydrates are bad, and your body needs a certain level of carbohydrates to function, to provide you energy, but also for brain function. The problem with fad diets in general is that if you take out a critical element of your nutrition for a long period of time, your body's missing out on that particular area and starts to change the way that your systems operate to accommodate the fact that it's not getting everything that it needs. What I've seen with individuals who go on a keto diet for a short period of time, or any fad diet where you're eliminating a large percentage or a critical component of nutrition, is that when they go off of the keto, or they go off of the Atkins diet, I'll use that as another example, they end up gaining all the weight that they lost, and usually plus 5 to 10 pounds, because their body has changed the way that it works because of the fuel that you're giving it in a negative way. And it takes a long time to reverse dieting that's not designed for long term. Whole30 is a good way to really focus on clean things. And that is something that you could definitely sustain for a longer period of time. So let's talk about, and this is where you have some time for input. I'm going to ask you to participate. Breakfast. Remember, we talked about our ideal breakfast plate, just like any other meal, half veggies, and then we have protein and our carbohydrate. So here are some good examples of a breakfast. The one on the left is actually an Ezekiel form of an avocado toast with whole avocado and some sliced eggs. There's also some sunflower seeds on there. So we have our whole grains, our carbohydrates is that Ezekiel toast. We have our healthy fats with our seeds and our avocado, and we have our protein with our egg. So we have all of our key components there. The picture on the right is a steel cut oats with some fresh sliced strawberries on there. Typically when I am doing a or recommending to a client an oats, they'll do steel cut oats or quinoa. I'm not allowed to eat grain or oats anymore because of my food sensitivities and my autoimmune disease. So I actually eat a no oatmeal now, made with things like chia and flax to be a different combination there. The only difference with this particular item is that there's no vegetable incorporated into that particular breakfast. So maybe you could add a side of something that is a vegetable. Sometimes I'll eat leftover vegetables from the night before. I'll make my egg in a skillet or a poached egg, and I'll serve it with a side of last night's veggies. Or you could eat your veggie as a mid-morning snack as well. So what I'd like for you to do is think about breakfast and list an idea for a well-balanced breakfast plate in the comments. Remembering that we want half to be vegetables, we want a quarter protein ideally, and a quarter to be our carbohydrate. Eggs with fresh salsa, avocado, tortilla, and a half a green apple. That's a great breakfast. As someone who's grain-free, I actually have been able to find a great company called Siete that offers grain-free and vegan options for tortillas that are pretty darn good. The consistency is not the same as a flour tortilla. That's my disclaimer. But I can't eat the flour tortillas, and it is a great alternative. They have hard shell for hard shell tacos, but they also have tortillas in the frozen food section that you cook in the skillet that are made with cassava and arrowroot flour that are pretty good. I haven't tried to make them myself yet. I haven't gotten that motivated, but they are super easy to use. Omelette, we have a lot of different veggie items in there, and that's a great way to add vegetables as well. If you're looking for something like an oatmeal and you want to add some protein to it as well, I forgot to mention, a lot of times I'll add, and my kids love putting a scoop of the nut butter into the oatmeal or quinoa to give it that extra protein, or you could add your protein powder right in there. Now, my experience adding protein powder into an oatmeal dish is that it will make it thicker, so you may need to add some more water. For those of you who are not able to eat eggs, those with autoimmune diseases who are not eating eggs, I found that a savory breakfast bowl can be a great alternative to a traditional scrambled egg dish or an egg breakfast. I will put some kind of meat, either a ham, a ground turkey, a nitrate-free bacon crumbled up or cut into bits, ham. I already said ham. I'll add a vegetable, either the kale or spinach typically. I will have butternut squash or cubed sweet potato, or cauliflower wrap rice, or a combination of those. And sometimes I have a fruit component in there. Dates, sliced dates are a great addition to that bowl to give it a little hint of sweetness. I chop them up really fine and mix it all up. All right, those were some great examples. Let's look at lunch now. So again, there's so many different options. For me, a lot of times I do salad at lunch, but salad can look so many different ways because depending on what kind of meat you put on it, if you're putting any beans, if you're vegan, the different types of beans or chickpeas that you can add to it. You can have a theme to your salad, whether it's Western with sliced lean sirloin and grilled peppers and onions and mushrooms thrown on top of your salad greens. You could give it a Mexican flair with your meat seasoned with your Mexican spices and sliced avocado and anything else that you want to put in there. Maybe some fresh pico de gallo. You can make it whatever you feel like on any given day, and it's really easy to throw something together with your leftovers. But you can also have a base that doesn't have to be a salad. A lot of times I will do zoodles, or I'll do leftovers from the night before and pre-package those. If you make something large enough, you can have a leftover meal for the next day. But again, we want to try to get a good serving of vegetables as the primary base of every meal. So if you could list one idea for a well-balanced lunch plate in the comments. I know it's pretty warm in Yuma, but on those cooler days, if you have a hankering for soup, soup always makes a great easy lunch because you can prepare it in advance in the weekend and throw everything together and then just reheat it when you're ready to have it. I typically have in my pantry and in my freezer bone broth on the ready so I can throw together a soup of any kind. Salmon, green beans, and quinoa, that sounds great. And when I'm doing my meal prep, common things that I'm gonna use throughout the week, primarily my meats, I'm going to cook in bulk for the entire week. So if I am gonna have salmon, I might have it I can use salmon with my eggs in the morning one day. I can put salmon on my salad. As she said, you could have it with quinoa. So I'm gonna buy a big piece of salmon and I'm gonna season it and cook it on the grill. And then I can divide it up as I need throughout the week and use it in multiple ways. Same thing with my chicken. I'm gonna buy a 10-pound bag of chicken and I can season it 3 different ways and I can grill it all at once. So you're cooking once, but you have food for multiple days, and you can use that chicken on your salads. You can have it as dinner. You can throw it into broth and make it like a mini soup. You can eat it chopped up with your eggs in the morning. So many different options to use that one item. We have some great examples here. Chicken with rice, cauliflower, and bell peppers. Lots of different salad ideas. Really, you could come up with, if we did a whole brainstorming session on salads, you could probably eat salad every day for lunch for a month and still not exhaust all of the options. All right. Let's move on to dinner. Some examples here we have our salmon with a salad with some other fresh vegetables on there, tomato, cucumber, onion, sliced egg. You could also do a roasted vegetables is a very common veggie side for dinner. So again, we want to pick our protein. We want to have our vegetables as half of our plate. And if you're inviting a carbohydrate to dinner, it should be a smaller portion. So something I encourage you to do is get out of the mindset that the carbohydrate is the main part of dinner. The noodles or the pasta should not be the entire plate with like a little scoop of your veggie. Unless it's zoodles, then you can have zoodle pasta and it covers the whole plate. So let's list one idea for a well-balanced dinner plate. Oh, we have lentil soup. I love lentil soup. I also like split pea soup with some ham in there. That's a really good, nice filling soup. I made last week a bean soup, and the great thing about soups, again, is that you put all the ingredients in, you pretty much throw everything in, and you let it simmer on the stove and it cooks itself. I threw all the beans and the chopped tomatoes and my ground turkey and a couple other things into the pot, and I had a delicious bean soup. And then we used some of that soup over the chickpea noodles for another meal. And the kids used some of the beans out of the soup to make like bean quesadilla type things another day. One of my sons put beans on his salad another day. So we utilized that one prep item in multiple ways for everybody. Carne asada salad, like tacos with no tortillas, yum. Salmon patties on lentils. So many good ideas. You guys are making me hungry. I encourage you, if you have a spouse, other people that live with you, kids, get them involved in the meal planning. I have some healthy recipes that I share with my clients on the nutrition site that you guys have access to. And I have cookbooks at home, and I'll set the cookbooks out and ask my kids, what do you want to have for dinner this week? And they flip through and they help make the decisions, and it helps educate them about creating healthy meals. And if they help you pick and they help you do the grocery shopping and they help you prepare the foods, these are all ways to encourage or increase the likelihood that they're going to eat the item, because they've got the buy-in about what they're eating. We had a question about red meat, and you haven't heard much about it because we should be limiting the amount of red meat. Any meat that you buy, I have a couple recommendations. Ideally, you want things that are organic, grass-fed, and lean. Generally speaking, we want to limit the amount of times during the week that we have red meat to maybe 1 or 2, and we would want the leaner meat. So the sirloin or fillet style meat, not something that is really marbly and fatty. It's harder to digest, and over time it's not beneficial to your body. There's a lot of health implications from eating too much red meat. So some other meal tips to keep you on track. Number 1, drink a full glass of water before starting any meal. This will help your body with the digestion process. It will help prevent you from overeating. Eat your veggies first. This is a rule I had with my kids when they were little, but there's actually scientific studies that they've done with adults that if you eat and take the first bite with the veggies, you'll tend to eat more veggies in the meal. And if you eat the vegetables first, you will get all that good nutrition before you fill up on the heavier items. Use a smaller size plate. You don't have to use the giant dinner plate. If you use a smaller plate, you will generally eat a smaller portion. Don't eat on the go. And the main reason that I say that is because when you eat on the go, we're not mindful and focused on enjoying the food. And so you tend to not listen to your body's signals when you're full, and you tend to have less satisfaction with that meal. When I'm eating in the car, I'm focused on driving, and the act of eating is just fueling my body, and it's definitely not a satisfying meal. The same thing goes for eating in front of the TV. Those are distractions that take away from the enjoyment of the food in front of you. Really enjoy your food. Take time to enjoy the flavors, the texture, the variation of the flavors in your mouth instead of focusing on the TV and other things. This will help you, again, eat less because you'll recognize the signals when your body starts to get full. The last tip that I have is it's okay not to finish the plate. I was raised in a family that we had to finish our plate to get dessert and we didn't leave food on the table. It's okay. If you are satisfied and full at that time, it's okay to not eat everything on your plate. I'm not a waster. If there's a couple bites left on my plate, I will wrap it up. The same thing goes for if my kids get full. I'm like, great, we'll wrap this up. If you get hungry later, we can bring it back out and reheat it. And you can do this at home with yourself. It's okay to, sometimes when we make our plate, our eyes are bigger than our stomach, or maybe we mismeasured our food, and so we gave ourselves a bigger portion. Wrap the rest up for another day. It's okay not to feel like you have to eat it all. Again, meal planning is so important. Make a plan or plan to fail. Get out that calendar, sit down with your spouse, sit down with your kids, look at your schedule, look at your kids' activities, look at your meetings and your work schedule, and plan meals accordingly. Get everyone involved in the process, because if they're involved, everyone will be on board with what that plan is. Plan for those snacks. Have some snacks in your desk drawer, or have your snacks readily available in your car or your purse. So when you're out and about, you're not tempted to go for that vending machine or that gas station. Plan your menu for the week is so important. I like to use a calendar to plan. Choosing versatile ingredients that you can cook once and use for multiple recipes. I talked about this earlier with the salmon and the chicken, but you can do this with a variety of different menu items. If you're preparing vegetables and you're slicing up the raw vegetables for the week, you can use those as an after-school snack for your kids or a midday snack for yourself. But you'll also have those ready to go for sauteing or steaming for other recipes. On my prep day, I'm typically going to cook my meat or at least pre-marinate. So if it's a red meat item, as I said, you can have red meat periodically. I like to have those fresh off the grill. I'm gonna pre-marinate on my prep day and let it just soak in the marinade until I'm ready to cook that. I'm gonna pre-cook my beans, my quinoa, my rice items, because those are things that take a little bit longer to actually cook on the stove, and they'll keep for, you know, like 5 days. So you can prepare them for the week and you'll have them ready to go, and you'll be able to add them in salads and eggs and everything as needed. If you're an egg eater, you can hard boil those eggs in advance. I usually do a dozen to 15 at a time and have those in the refrigerator. A lot of times I'll even pre-peel them when I take them out of the water, I'll peel them and stick them in the fridge, because I find my kids will eat them a lot more willingly when they don't have to peel them themselves. You can pre-make items that can be reheated. A lot of you had egg suggestions for breakfast. So something like a small omelet cup, you make them in muffin tins. You can pre-make those for the week, and then you just pop them in the microwave. Similar to how they do at Starbucks when you buy their egg cups. Things like protein waffles or protein pancakes. My kids love, love, love waffles or protein pancakes in the morning, but I'm not gonna wake up in the morning and cook them pancakes or waffles before I go to teach at the gym. So I pre-make these, and you can freeze them, and then the kids can just pop them in the toaster. and it's a much healthier alternative to breakfast cereal. You can portion things in containers, make those meals ready to go. It makes it so much easier. You can definitely reheat eggs. I've reheated scrambled eggs and things. I think as you reheat things, it is going to lose a small amount of the nutrition, just like as if you're cooking things. Same thing, but it makes the process a lot easier. Proper hydration is very important. Our body is primarily made of water. And so if we don't have proper hydration, we are not going to function well. Our organs aren't going to work properly. Our brain is not going to work the same. They've actually done scientific studies with students in school that found that kids that were properly hydrated did better on standardized tests than the ones that were dehydrated. So water will actually make you smarter. That's what my 12-year-old son says. And it's true, because your brain is like that sponge. Think of it out on the side of the counter, how that sponge gets dry and hard and inflexible. And then when you put it into water, it puffs up and it's squishy and pliable. The same thing happens with your brain when it becomes dehydrated. The signals that it has to send don't fire as well. Drink more water. All of your muscles are largely made of water, so it will prevent muscular cramping. It will improve performance. It promotes cardiovascular health. It helps keep your body cool. Y'all live in Arizona, right? We need to keep our body cool, and our body needs it living in the desert. It detoxes your body, improves brain function, helps muscles and joints function. If you are struggling with any kind of cramping or joint pain, some of that could be dehydration, because the synovial joint fluid in all of your joints gets moves better when we have water. That hydration, that synovial fluid is much more prevalent in the joints when we're drinking enough water. So the water is going to help with the lubrication of the joints and make you feel better. Better skin. Aids in weight loss. There's direct correlations with drinking enough water and losing weight. One, because you're not eating when you think you're hungry and it's actually thirst. And two, you're eating less because you're drinking water. And three, your body's processing what you eat better because you're drinking water. Drink water. It's going to aid digestion. It's going to protect the body from cancer. There's direct linkage behind digestion and our body's ability to flush out waste through our intestines and cancer. It improves your mood. It helps organ and cell function. It improves your energy. So how much water is enough? Rule of thumb, you should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces in water. Add 16 ounces for dry desert or humid climates. That's you, Yuma. Add 16 ounces if the temperature is over 90 degrees. So as the temperature's cooler, your body doesn't need as much water. Add 8 ounces for every 15 to 20 minutes of exercise. So rule of thumb, and I have a little calculation on here. If you weigh 200 pounds, your base would be 100 ounces of water. You live in Arizona, add 16. If it's 94 degrees today, you're gonna add another 16 ounces, and you got a 30-minute workout. Woohoo, good for you. Add 16 ounces. You're at 148 ounces. That's a little bit over a gallon. So I encourage you to continue to drink water and increase over time if you're not at your target. I think we're almost finished. If you can stick with me, great. If you have to drop off the call, I appreciate you attending today. You guys had some great questions. How can you increase water intake? Reduce non-water beverages, anything that's not water, including tea. Carry it with you all the time. If you carry the water and you have it with you, you're more likely to drink it. Drink a full glass before every meal. We've talked about this. If you're struggling with drinking the water because water's plain and boring, you can add infused fruit to add flavor if you wish. Just drop some sliced fruit into your water. Berries are great for this, lemon, lime. Carbonated is okay if you're trying to replace soda. Making it at home with something like a soda stream is the best way to get it. Again, reading labels. If you're buying something at the store, I need you to look at the label and see some of those carbonated waters have artificial flavors. We don't want artificial flavors. We don't want sugars and artificial sweeteners in our water. If you're going to a party, it's totally okay to have some alcohol every once in a while. Alternate that alcohol with water. Have your beer or wine and then drink your glass of water. And then if you want another beer or wine, have that beer or wine and drink another glass of water. Track your water consumption. There's a free tool I recommend for my clients, Aqualert. You can download that app on your phone and it will send you little push notifications and it will help track. So at this time, I thank you for your attention. I invite you to join my I have a monthly free challenge on Facebook that we do different exercise challenges for prizes. I also have a free nutrition group that has recipes and guidebooks and things to help support you in your nutrition. And I am happy to meet with any of you. If you can't do it this week during your fair, you can reach out to me and schedule a one-on-one consultation, and I can customize your nutrition plan based on your particular goals as well as any medical issues that you may be having. Whether you're diabetic, a cancer survivor, you are perimenopause or menopausal, or you have an autoimmune disease. I have experience working with all of those and more, and I'd be happy to work with your particular goals or needs. I'll open it up to any other questions. If you have questions, you can put those in the chat. I do have some other events during your fair this week. Tomorrow we are doing an office workout. You can do it right in your desk area. I promise that you won't need a lot of space. You don't need any equipment. So whether you're working from the office or at home, please join me for that. And on Thursday, we have a meditation and relaxation that will walk through some relaxation techniques that you can do from your office as well. Eva asked if I'm still teaching at the YMCA. I am not still teaching at the YMCA. They laid everyone off during COVID. And so I teach weekly or daily classes Monday through Friday on Zoom, straight from my house to your location, as well as do private one-on-one. But a lot of my clients join me on Zoom. And if you are using Silver Sneakers or you have Silver Sneaker benefits, you can attend those classes. It's included as one of their, I'm an authorized provider for Silver Sneakers as well. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you will join me tomorrow. I have recorded this, so if you had a friend that missed it and you want to share it with them, it will be available, and I'm available to you as well.